Hey guys, I was talking to my sister the other day about our children and being in the car, and I've worked out that our children probably haven't actually been in a car for about 10 weeks now, since this crisis has all started. And it just made me reflect back on a story just before the COVID-19 stuff happened. I was driving with my wife and my kids in the car, and in the back seat, my girl started to have a fight. I'm not 100% sure what it was about, but I got the impression it was about Elsa and Spider-Man and who would win in a fight. Now, my girls started getting physical. They started hitting each other and shouting at each other and threatening to throw each other out the car, all that sort of normal stuff that siblings do. And I kept talking to my wife while this was happening, and I didn't actually notice, to my shame, what was going on. And my wife turned around after about 2 minutes of this happening and said, "Jim, do you not notice what's going on around you?" I was like, well, no. The answer should have been yes. I should have noticed that my kids were killing each other in the back seat. But I didn't notice. I was completely disconnected to the world around me. And it was a bit of a wake-up moment because I realized that so much of my life, I walked through life completely disconnected with what was going on around me. I went through the motions of just driving the car and taking my kids to the next event without actually interacting with them, without actually noticing what they were doing. And in the world, let's be honest, we're pretty much like that in the world. We're the most connected generation there's ever been, but at the same time, we're probably the most disconnected generation there's ever been. You know, it's been brilliant during the last few weeks of seeing people reconnect together. You know, on a Thursday night when people are going out on the streets and clapping for the NHS, it's been amazing to see neighbours talk to each other. I heard one person tell me that they hadn't spoken to their neighbours for 18 years since moving into their house. And this has been the first time in 18 years they've actually spoken to their neighbours. That's incredible. I've heard stories of families reconnecting that were fighting and feuding and burying the hatchet and coming back together and reconnecting. We've seen amazing things happen. And in our church recently, we've been exploring Revelation 2 and 3. And in Revelation chapter 3, Jesus gives a warning to a church in a place called Sardis. Now, Sardis was a really affluent area. It was a great area. It's a place you wanted to live, a little bit like the Alderley Edge, of that area. And people were dressed well, they performed well, everything was good in Sardis. And the church there had a great reputation. People thought the church was doing an amazing job. And then Jesus gives a warning to the church, and he says this. He says, everyone thinks that you're doing a great job, but you're spiritually dead. You've completely missed the point. And he says, wake up before it's too late. Wake up before it's too late. It's quite a strong, stern word that Jesus gave. And the problem was, these guys in Sardis, they were going through the motions of church, but they weren't connected to God. They were disconnected to God. He even said, you started off well, but somewhere along the line, they got disconnected from their relationship with God. And the thing I've noticed is that it's so easy for us to do that. You know, we can go through the motions, especially in church. We can do church rather than actually be the church. We can go, we can sing songs and we leave and go home. We can sort of do our lovely social action and then we go home. And we can do so much of it and go through the motions without actually having God with us and being completely disconnected from God. So often we say, God, please can you do this? But we don't actually say, God, what do you want us to do? And we get that disconnect can gradually creep into our lives. The one good thing, and there's been so much more bad probably in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic that's happened, for me, is the church. When we were told that we couldn't meet together as a church, at first we thought, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? But you know what it's done? It's stirred us up. It's made us stop doing church and start being the church. Churches have connected in more ways than they've ever connected before. Guys in our church have actually commented that they speak together more than they've ever spoken before. You guys have messaged me more than I've ever messaged you guys before. I've spoken on the phone more than ever before. And it's been a great reconnection with each other, but also reconnection with God, most importantly. I've seen people pray bolder prayers. I've seen people spend more time finding out about God and connecting with him and trying to grow their faith and trying to learn more and listen to him. And it's been amazing. We have really become the church, I believe, that God is starting to want us to see. But I have a worry that as we come out of this pandemic, that as a church, we will slowly sleepwalk back into how we did things before. And I believe that's not what God wants. God wants us to go forward, connected to him, and not to accidentally disconnect ourselves again. God wants us to be the church that he's called us to be. He wants us to be as creative as we've been at the moment. He wants us to be innovative. He wants us to constantly look at how we can reach out with the good news that he wants us to bring to the world. You know what that good news is about? A living relationship with God, a living relationship with him, with the God who wants to have an interactive relationship with us. It's not like a one-way thing. It's not us talking to him or him talking to us. It's us engaging with him. And he wants us to show this to the world. And guys, the only way we're going to do this is by staying connected to him. So I want to encourage you as we go through this period of in between lockdown and coming out of lockdown, stay connected to God. Stay connected with each other. And let's not fall asleep. Let's walk gloriously into the future hope that God has for us as a church. And I believe as we do this, we will start seeing the world around us change for the better. Hope you have a brilliant day, and I look forward to catching you later on this evening in church as we explore this more and we chat about it. But have a fantastic day.